When a buyer of one of these medical devices is making a purchasing decision, do they actually care about the cybersecurity of the device and risk associated with the device and how it's going to be interoperable with their environment? That's something that's factored into a purchasing decision?
I think from a security perspective, I think it has always two layers. There's always this hygiene layer of course, physicians or potential buyers expecting that that the device is secure. Yeah, and of course, often they use regulatory approval as a proxy for this. But then on top of that, they might ask question, and if you are trying to sell to them, you better have good answers about that in order to convince them about the safety of your product. Because I mean, in the end, those physicians are taking a personal risk using it on their patients, and then they want to be 100% sure that the device is safe. I think the second point you mentioned is really important and getting more and more important, interoperability of those devices, because I mean, we all know that from our private life, where when we have different devices and they don't work together, we probably stop using one of them at some point because it's just too cumbersome to start having them and they don't fit into our other ecosystem. And the same is true for providers. So they want to make sure the product fits into their existing medical device environment or suite of products they're using for their treatments.
Awesome. What do you think, Trevor?
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're seeing a lot more awareness in buyers. A lot of manufacturers are coming to us, even with a device that's fielded under old guidance that they don't technically have to do this testing for. And they say, we're getting a lot of customer requests for a penetration test. We need better labeling. How can we figure this out? Part of the reform that we've done internally with our process is not only gearing up manufacturers to be ready for the FDA, but getting manufacturers ready for their customers. So the documentation requirements for the FDA for labeling is going to be the big one that applies here. And they're certainly present. They're fairly comprehensive, but they're not as comprehensive often as what the customers are asking for. So we've adapted our process a little bit to cover just about anything that anyone could think of. So anytime a customer comes with it's like you said, if a customer is coming with these questions, they say, well, it's great that it's approved, but we still have these questions about cybersecurity. Manufacturers need to have an answer. So we're trying to gear them up with as many of these answers as we can before they're even cleared. So they're just ready to go as soon as they get to market.